Okay, a good Monday evening to you folks. Hope you're having a great Monday, a good start to your week. Hey, no weather worries tonight other than very cold, and we'll walk through our weather headlines coming up. I wanted to take a moment to bring you a live weather update on our weather stream. Whenever there's inclement weather, certainly, yeah, this platform is super helpful and useful for that. So you can always come to our weather stream for weather content any time of day or night. So we'll use it obviously when bad weather's coming, and you may see us talk a lot more about those events coming up. But in this case, we're talking about a system that's still pretty far out, but you might have heard about the chances for wintry weather this weekend. Yeah, I know, you've probably heard about it. If you've gotten on social media, any other of the main social media platforms, you've probably seen, I don't know, pick a number, right? Anywhere from a few inches to a whole lot of inches of potential wintry weather for the Tennessee Valley this weekend. So there's a lot of scuttlebutt out there, different modeling, and social media in general can have a lot of misinformation. So that's why we're doing this weather stream. I just simply want to take a few moments to talk about what we're seeing as far as right now, what we're expecting going forward, and give you a timeline of what we're planning to do as we go through this week into the upcoming weekend. I'll go ahead and tell you the main time frame as far as potential wintry weather along with very cold air is going to be Saturday night into the first half of Sunday. So it's primarily this weekend. All right, so that's the setup. Let's talk about our weather headlines. Again, thank you for joining us. We'll kind of just take some time to walk through this for a little bit. And again, we're going to be keeping you updated with live streams throughout the week. So one of the things I do want to mention real quick, I wanted to say up front, check back for updates each week. As you know, the potential system we're talking about this weekend is 5 days away, so the weather can change. So I just want to go ahead and say that. Be sure to check back throughout the week, and we'll keep you updated. All right, so we go through our headlines. Cold and dry for much of this week. We get a brief warm-up Wednesday near 50, but most of our week, especially tonight and tomorrow, is looking pretty cold, and again by the end of the week. So a brief light wintry mix is possible as we get into our Wednesday night, and so that's what we're looking at with the first minor system. Now, again, relatively speaking, this system coming in Wednesday evening, Wednesday night, maybe into early Thursday morning, not a big deal. It's a brief light wintry mix possible. We're talking about a little bit of patchy light rain mixed with flurries, and that's about it. But here's a look at what we're seeing as far as the potential for wintry weather expected this weekend. It does appear likely with very cold Arctic air. Now, let me spend a moment. I'm going to walk through some different maps and projections and even some modeling in a moment, as well as our timeline. So we'll talk about all the details and the nitty-gritty, if you will. But here's what we're looking at. All right, we're going to see some cold Arctic air with an Arctic front moving in by later Friday night into Saturday morning. So cold air looks to be in place with a cold ground in place. So that's one. When you're talking about the potential for wintry weather, do you have cold air in place ahead of time? A lot of times if you want wintry weather, and the favorable setup is to have a cold air mass and a cold ground in place. So that's number one. Looks like that box is going to be checked with this upcoming weekend. Number two, what about available moisture? Is the Gulf sending you some moisture up this way? Looks like there will be. Again, along with some cold Arctic air, which is different from your normal Canadian air. So you've got the cold Arctic air and moisture in place. Number two, checking that box. Number three, do you have a lifting mechanism? Do you have dynamics in place to lift that moist air over the top, overrunning the cold Arctic air? So if you have a lifting mechanism like a low pressure, maybe coming out of the Gulf or riding just to our south, that's a favorable setup with those ingredients for wintry weather. So cold air, moisture, dynamics, lifting mechanism, all three of those looks like they're coming in place. Now, we're 5 days out. So here are you already know this, right? Here are the details. So as you know, the weather can change from day to day. So be sure to check back. But, and I'm going to show you some model projections, but the last few days, models have kind of honed in into what they're painting for a potential scenario of some fairly likely wintry weather. All right, so let's walk through the details. We'll start first of all with the interim. Again, the next 3 days, cold and dry, sunshine Tuesday, 36, 49. It does get briefly warmer for your Wednesday, and that 20% chance, most of Wednesday dry. Late Wednesday afternoon and evening, we may see a little bit of patchy light rain mixed with flurries higher up. Again, relatively speaking, compared to this weekend, very minor. And so, hint, hint, a little bit there. Yeah, minor, not much at all. Expect a Wednesday night. Thursday, mid-40s and mainly dry, and we'll start to see some of that colder air moving back in our direction. All right, so here's a look at the almanac for today. I just wanted to show you. We hit 41 for a high, 23 for the low. So the first half of January was noticeably warmer than average. This second half of January looks like it's going to be colder than average. So yeah, that cold air coming in with that moisture and that low pressure system this weekend that we'll talk much more about in a second, but it's going to stay cold even once that moves on past into next week. So kind of keep that in mind, get ready to bundle up. All right, so Tuesday, we're looking at 14 in the morning. Very cold tonight. Again, so dress warmly. The good news, at least we'll have a sunny day tomorrow, but it stays cold, 28 at noontime and 36 in the afternoon. So remember that first part of the equation, the cold air, but the cold ground? Those are one of the factors we're looking at. A little bit of a setup, the favorable setup for wintry weather potentially. So here's one of our main models that we're looking at. Let me kind of walk through. I'm letting it walk through for Thursday and Friday, look to be mainly dry. So what we're looking at here, again, is showing the Futurecast shows the clouds and precipitation. So we're looking at increasing clouds. This is Friday night. And I believe this model has a decent handle on it. I think it may be a little slow. I would not be surprised if things speed up a little bit, relatively speaking. I think the other features it has probably has a good handle on it, but timing may be slightly slow. I'll interject that. So we have clouds coming in. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a little bit of patchy light rain or snow flurries mixed in later Friday evening, Friday night. This is just pre-storm, pre-frontal moisture, just kind of streaming across the Tennessee Valley. It's typical. So may see a little bit of that Friday night. But let me walk forward from Friday night into early Saturday morning, and actually we'll stop it at noontime. Actually, let me go back and kind of walk through this just a little bit more. Let me show you Saturday morning. We'll stop it at 7 a.m., put a new pause point there, and we'll go from there. This is Saturday morning, and again, this may be a little slow, but you have it in Missouri, Arkansas, and down in Louisiana. The blue is snow. The pink here could be a mixture of rain and snow and maybe sleet, okay? That's the pink. So you could have some snow, sleet, maybe all mixed with rain. That would be your wintry mix, and that's mixed precipitation. And of course, then your rain. One of the factors here, you may see a different color. We do have that potential for especially southern areas, particularly Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, ice, freezing rain. Now, in any type of storm situation, that's the last thing you want. You don't really ever want to see ice. Yeah, the only thing that's good for is a postcard scene. But so it looks like icing may be possible from Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Let's walk forward. Just want to tell you about that scenario coming up. Again, there's a look at Memphis Saturday at noontime. Again, I would not be surprised if this is further east at midday Saturday. It just seems like a lot of times when storms are developing and increasing and strengthening, that moisture tends to be a little bit quicker than what some models initially show. So this may be a little slow. It may be a little faster than that. That's Saturday noontime. Again, we'll be updating you throughout the week multiple times a day. So just keep tuning back in. We'll keep you updated. Now let's go forward. Let me show you, and I know that kind of went fast, so let me kind of walk it back in and a little bit closer here. Once we get into our Saturday afternoon, that's midday. Once we get into our Saturday afternoon, there you see basically it's coming right across Interstate 40 from Memphis, Nashville toward Knoxville. And again, the blue is snow. The pink is rain, sleet, and snow, and maybe some ice mixed in that. And so that's what we're looking at. Most of that icy mixture with this particular model is just south of Tennessee. Let me move it forward, and I believe this is about as far as it goes out. I might try to go out a little bit further. Actually, I can take it a little bit further beyond this, but I'll stop at Saturday night. This is 10:30. So this is what this one computer model is projected. It is one of our reliable models that we use and fairly often. And so when this model shows something, it obviously gets our attention. So it is showing that there's a decent swath of snow coming across parts of the Tennessee Valley for later Saturday afternoon and especially Saturday night. And it's showing that icy mixture in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. So for our neighbors to our south, the deep south and southeast, again, with that cold Arctic air, and again, Arctic air is different. It's colder, it's more dense, it's heavier, it's harder to dislodge, and we have moisture overrunning the top of Arctic air. That a lot of times poses problems in terms of dealing with wintry weather, in terms of travel. So we're talking about a potentially far-reaching and a high impactful regional storm. So we're not just for us in East Tennessee, and again, I'll talk more about this in a moment, but just wanted to paint the picture that we're talking about a very broad impacting potential winter storm for many areas. Now, so let's talk about East Tennessee. I know you got to talk about that, Todd. Yeah. So the blue, notice the different gradients and shades of the snow. This is actually showing some moderate to heavier snow possible coming across at least the southern half of Tennessee, and this is just for this particular time frame. So in Tennessee, that could be a decent snowfall event, is what this particular model is showing, as far as that icy mixture to our south and then further south to the rain. Now, here's the point. This is 5 days out. Can there be fluctuations within these zones? Yes. You know, the next day we may look that icy mixture. Hopefully not. We don't ever want ice, but it could, you know, if enough warm air comes up, that could be surging north, and maybe that heavy snow band gets up into Kentucky. That's possible. Could it shift south a little bit more? It's possible. I can tell you a lot of the modeling initially, well, they really developed it in the last 24 to 48 hours. So we're mainly talking about the last couple of days. It's really gotten enhanced, but they initially were showing some suppression further south, but a lot of really cold Arctic air coming in. So this back up into the Tennessee Valley is, models have been kind of consistent with that the last day or two, what we're seeing right here. So we'll see if that trend continues, but check back in, because obviously the weather can change from day to day. And this is a computer model. It's trying to model the atmosphere and what will fall. They do a pretty good job, honestly, overall. But the further out you get, the less certain things can be. Let me try to walk forward with this. And again, we're just talking about the pattern right now. I'll talk more about the specifics coming up. That's a look at Sunday morning. And again, this is why I think, let me take it all the way to Sunday morning right there. And just a couple points. Again, I think while the overall spirit of the system, the details showing may be accurate or may be pretty good, we'll see if it's accurate. 5 days out, we'll have to wait and see. But I think it's a little slow. So I think things may be coming in a little bit earlier Saturday and maybe leaving a little bit earlier Sunday than when it's showing. But still, the spirit of what I want to show is that, again, it's a regional storm. It's not just Tennessee. It's Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, and impacting, it looks like, quite a few areas before that moves on out. Let me kind of just finish taking that on out the rest of the way. Again, I think that's slow. Kind of wants to wait until Sunday afternoon, then finally moves it out Sunday evening. So that's that particular model. All right, so that's why we're doing this broadcast. That's the heads up for this weekend. Pretty good chance for wintry weather. Now, a few details. Obviously, I'll show you the 7-day in a moment. Here's what I wanted to go over and just spend a second or two on this. When we're talking about any time there's a chance for wintry weather, we generally operate by this timeline, and most meteorologists kind of do the same thing at most TV stations, and the exception may be on social media, where we call those meteorologists. You know what I'm talking about. Trust your sources, right? What you see on social media. Don't throw stuff out 30 days out, throw that out, you know, take with a grain of salt. So here's what we basically do. When it's 7 to 10 days out, you know, models are showing something. We're looking at, all of us are looking at the same data in general, but we see it, and it's a maybe. But right now, I'll walk forward, we're kind of at this part of the game right now. We're 5 days out, so that 4 to 7 days out, when models start agreeing, we'll talk more about, hey, there's a possibility of a mix. So that's what we're doing today and tonight. We're talking about, hey, it's within this time frame. Models are agreeing we have a decent chance for wintry weather. Too early for any specific details or amounts, okay? I am bringing the potential snowfall and wintry weather event to your attention because there's a decent chance that can unfold. Amounts may vary. We're going to fine tune that going forward, obviously. Matter of fact, with that, we'll segue to this. So what about those amounts, or what about the impacts? When do you start talking about that? In general, we start talking about the planning and the timing and impacts when we get 2 to 4 days out, okay? You may be thinking, well, why do you wait? Well, that's a good question. Number one of the main reasons, number one, when you're this far out, the weather has a lot more time to change. So what if you got real specific a week out, and you see this happen all the time on social media? Unfortunately, this is the bad part. Somebody throws out a specific forecast. Hey, we're going to get this much snow a week out. 2 days later, oh, and you saw this past weekend in the Deep South, the same exact scenario. That changed. Oh, now we're not going to get anything. So instead of, you know, having to ride the roller coaster and being yo-yo back and forth with somebody giving you amounts and then the next day or two, no, we're just teasing, you know, it's not. So you see how that plays out? Models actually do that, unfortunately. A lot of times they'll show something, next day or two it changes. But here's the nature of computer model forecasting. The closer you get to an event, the likely the more predictable and the more accurate that event as far as forecasting will be. So you already know that, right? The closer you get to an event, the more predictable that event's going to be. It's just going to be a better forecast. It's going to be more accurate the closer you get to it. I mean, sometimes when a system's pretty well formed and ahead of time, it may end up being what it looked like a week out. But it's just, it's not very prudent and wise to throw numbers out week out and stuff like that. I mean, you could, we're all looking at the same data, but it's not wise. It's unwise because things typically change, and we don't want to play with your emotions and go back and forth, to be honest with you. So we try to use wisdom and discernment. So I spent a lot of time just talking about that, but that's in a nutshell what we try to do at Channel 10. Okay, so we're 2 to 4 days out, so that's coming up basically the next couple of days. Because let's see, well, we're 5 days out now, so we're 4 days out tomorrow. So generally from Tuesday and Wednesday, we're moving into the timing and impact. So what about, if we do see what that model was showing and we do have a chance for some snow and sleet or wintry mix and accumulations, when do you get real specific as far as how much we can see? That's typically going to be 1 to 2 days out. So that's kind of in our Thursday to Friday time frame as far as this event goes, I should say. In general, any winter storm system is typically going to be 1 to 2 days out. That's when we talk about snow totals, fine tuning, etc. Now, we'll say this system could be a pretty decent impact for many areas as far as regionally and impactful for travel, etc. Not only for us, not just a local storm, but regionally. So it could be 1 to 3. We're going to be continuing to hone in on the forecast details with each passing day. But that's our protocol. That's what we typically do. And again, just to kind of give you an idea of, we feel like that's wisdom, so that way you hopefully get an accurate forecast, but hopefully you understand that as we get closer, there's more clarity as we move forward. All right, so let's talk about, once again, what we're seeing. I'll just kind of do a recap as far as our forecast tonight. Again, very cold, low of 14, so bundle up. Sunshine tomorrow, 36. So here's your 7-day. And again, we'll kind of wrap it all up and sum up what we've talked about. We've got that minor system Wednesday night with a few light raindrops and flurries. Cooler and drier, trending colder. That Arctic front's going to move through again later Friday night and Saturday morning, settle to our south. So as far as temperatures, look at the highs, and they could be colder than this, but we're looking at highs basically near freezing for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for the high temperature, and overnight lows dropping down the 20s and then teens. So it's going to be very cold, particularly in the wake of that system, as it usually is. But that's a look at what we're saying. So Saturday, we've got that 60% chance as it stands right now I've got a raindrop. Models were showing earlier, could have a little bit of a rain, sleet, snow mix. We do have that chance for a wintry mix. And again, why are we starting with that? Because it could fluctuate, it could change. Nothing's locked in right now, okay? So it could change. But I showed you, the model on what we're hinting at and looking at is there's a pretty strong possibility for wintry weather that's going to be developing. So as we go during the day, Saturday night into Sunday morning. And that's when we're seeing those lingering snow showers Sunday. Now again, we'll continue to fine tune the timing of that system. Monday looks like it's cold and dry with high temperatures in the lower 30s as again, that storm system exits out later Sunday into Monday. So again, that's what we're looking at. Kind of a lot on our plate, so to speak, for all of us to monitor, and we'll keep you updated throughout this coming week. So just wanted to spend a little bit of time going over the details. And again, we'll keep you updated throughout the week with live streams and on air at Channel 10 and online at WBIR.com. Thank you for joining us.